Today on OwlSports Update, women's lacrosse takes the top 10 program down to the wire. And men's basketball finds itself in a matchup with number 15, Villanova.
And if you thought JJ was passionate on this desk, just wait until you see him in the stands.
Gandhi, anchor at ESPN, class of 1997. You're watching OwlSports Update, and it starts right now.
Hello, Owl fans, and welcome inside of TV Studio 3. I'm Adam Cronali, he's JJ Mahowski, and we're back for the latest in Temple athletics.
We have a lot to bring you today, including an update on Temple's new deal with the Eagles for a football stadium, and a report on how one Temple team is using technology to enhance its practice time. But first, let's hit the hardwood. When Jay Wright and company stepped into the Liacouras Center on Sunday, there was a Big Five title on the line.
A win over Villanova would give the Owls a share of the Big Five title with those Wildcats in 2020. More importantly, maybe, a Nova win would move them into a tie all-time with Temple for most Big Five championships.
Nova has dominated the last Big Five as of late with 5 Big Five titles in the last 6 years. And on the way to another one. Early on in the game, you'll want a taste of this Josh Pierre-Louis from 3, but enjoy it because Temple was only 2 of 16 from beyond the arc. Skip ahead and Quentin Rose at the end of the first half gets under the bucket, misses the first one, but puts it away to give Temple a 4-point advantage.
Second half was a completely different story. Villanova hit 13 three-pointers in just the second half alone. It was almost like the Wildcats couldn't miss a shot. Here you'll see another 3 there from the top of the key. But let me tell you something. When James Naismith founded the game of basketball, this had to be what he was talking about. Count them. 7 passes on 1 possession. The ball's moving all over the court here. It's going to end up in the hands of Connor Gillespie in the corner for 3. Splash City for him. Let me tell you something. He had himself a game, too. The junior guard led the way with 29 points. There you'll see another 3 from the top of the key there from Gillespie. Villanova ends up winning this one by 20 after trailing at the half. 76-56 is your final, and the Wildcats claim another Big Five title. They're 6th in the last 7 years. Temple held a 4-point lead going into halftime after a great defensive performance, holding the Wildcats to 26 points. Nova went on to shoot the lights out in the second half, going on a 20-2 run, shooting 54% and almost 62% from 3. On the flip side, Temple only made 2 of their 16 three-point attempts in the game. The game ended with the Big Five title going in the way of Nova. A 2-2 overall record for the Temple Owls with wins over LaSalle and St. Joe's, losses to Penn and those Wildcats.
And it's been a strong senior campaign for Quentin Rose, adding to his record-setting career numbers at Temple. Rose is now the all-time leader in steals and points in the American Athletic Conference. His 2 steals in Sunday's game, giving him 220 for his career and passing Memphis's Jeremiah Martin. Rose passed Houston's Rob Gray in career points early February, and he'll enter Thursday's contest with UConn with 1,763 career points.
There are so many of us here at OwlSports Update who also take part in other extracurricular activities. My partner on the desk, JJ Mahowski, is a prime example. In addition to being my co-anchor, he's also a part of the Temple Diamond Band. If you've ever been to a game at the Liacouras Center, his passion cannot be missed. So I thought it might be time to take a look at how this dual threat anchor does it all.
JJ Mahowski has been one of the more vocal and recognizable members of the Temple Diamond Band for 3 years as a student. But he's been cheering on the cherry and white for much longer.
I've been coming to games since I was about 10 years old. My dad got season tickets for basketball and for Temple football.
JJ actually, from the first day me his freshman year. I could see the energy that he had, and I could just see that he was going to be a great person in the band.
At every Temple men's basketball game, each band member is guaranteed a seat at the Liacouras Center. However, none of them seem to want to actually use them. Instead, the band members stand up for the entirety of the game and cheer on the Temple Owls.
JJ is a key component to game days for all the sports, really, not just basketball. It's nice to have another guy that's going to be there, be loud, cheer for the team.
I've been standing next to JJ pretty much all 3 years. He brings probably the most amount of energy of anyone in the band. He's absolutely insane.
I absolutely love him. You know, everybody just sort of feeds off that energy all the time.
JJ's biggest concern since he arrived in 2017 hasn't been the team's performance, but it's been the lack of support from the students, an opinion he's made known on social media.
I want students to stand and be engaged with the game, and a lot of the times people here at Temple aren't engaged with the games.
JJ never takes a minute off, and because of that passion, both the band and the Cherry Crusade never fail to join in on the support.
The band is constantly backing him. We get the Cherry Crusade involved too, and they love, working back and forth with us and JJ.
The student section can feed off of our energy and get engaged in the game.
Currently the 5th winningest basketball program in NCAA history, but only about 722 students made it to each game last season. And JJ, that was with an NCAA tournament appearance. Syracuse may be right behind Temple in the all-time wins, but not in attendance. The average attendance for the Orange, get this, nearly 22,000.
I wish.
That's more than double the size of the Liacouras Center itself. Keep bringing that energy, bud.
Hey, love to bring it, but let's move to women's hoops. Basketball team welcomed in the largest crowd of the season on Wednesday. 3,600 screaming youngsters filed into the Liacouras Center for the annual school day game. The morning began with a trivia contest and karaoke. There was something to scream about the whole day long. And that includes the actual game where Memphis jumped out to an early lead, scoring a quick 5 points, but the Owls caged the Tigers, starting off at Ashley Jones dropping 3 of her 21 on the afternoon. Memphis struggled to put up points, just 13 in the first quarter. Owls coming back the other way, and Marissa Mackin takes the off-balance shot and gets it to fall, just 2 points for her in the game. Temple was out-rebounded, but Mia Davis gets the putback under the basket en route to 23 points. And it wasn't just fun in the stands for the Temple Owls, but a little bit on the court today. And a beautiful snap and an even better dime across the court as the Owls get ready for half 2. Let's check in with Ashley Jones again on this one. Dribbles through the defense effortlessly. 48 points in the paint for the Owls in this one, outscoring the Memphis Tigers 78-64 en route to their 15th victory of the season.
Be aggressive. We knew that they only had 6 players, so they didn't want to foul. So we didn't really want to settle for jump shots. We ended up shooting a lot of threes, but we made them. But I felt like just being on the attack, because they don't want to foul you, we should be able to get easy buckets at the basket.
I think honestly starts with defense, me trying to focus more on the defense. It gets me going into the offense.
And it's one game at a time. We control our own destiny. I said that a couple of weeks ago.
Earlier in the week, the women's team played in its other home of McGonigal Hall against conference opponent Houston. This was the Play for K pinkout game, and this one did not disappoint. I swear, Mia Davis is dominant when she gets to her spot. She had 27 points leading the way for the Owls. Ashley Jones the other way after this bucket from Houston. You'll see her drive to the paint. She gets 2 of her 22 on that one. Then it gets interesting. Lockdown defense from Temple D forces a shot clock violation, 2 blocks on this possession alone. The other way, Ashley Jones finds herself at the free throw line. Owls only up 2. She puts them up 3. There's under 10 seconds to go. Houston needs a 3 to tie. JJ, they go for the layup. I don't know what they're doing. The basket goes down, but Houston loses by 1. Temple wins this one in a nail-biter, 76-75. Looking at the current AAC women's basketball standings, UConn leads the way by a wide margin with that undefeated record in the conference, while also holding the 6th overall in the AP Top 25. The Owls are currently sitting in 4th place with a record of 15-10, 7-5 in the conference. Temple's tournament chances hinge on the next few games and the AAC tournament. Grabbing that 4th or 5th seed puts Temple on a collusion course with UConn in the semis. in the semis, excuse me. So finding a way into that third seed would be a much better place for the Owls to sit with the tournament rolls around. Temple's next is at East Carolina to take on the 11th place Pirates. It's time for us to take a studio timeout, but just like in football, JJ, we still have 2 more remaining.
And speaking of football, we have still a lot to get to on the gridiron and Temple's new lease with the Eagles. And of course, Join My Parliament, which is also a football topic today. And we'll head down to the Temple Sports Complex finally, where lacrosse welcomed in number 6 Princeton this past weekend and St. Joe's on Wednesday. 2 games for the price of 1 coming up next on OwlSports Update.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. The lacrosse team hosted St. Joe's at Howarth Field on Wednesday afternoon, and the Owls came out slow. Temple trailed at the end of the first half 11-1. Bridget Cercilio had 6 goals on the day, and Stephanie Kelly of St. Joe's, who you just saw in that first highlight score a goal, that was one of her 3 goals on the day. Temple matched St. Joe's goal total in the second half, 6 apiece, but it was too much, too little, too late. St. Joe's easily wins this one 17-7.
The better of the 2 games this past weekend came over the weekend. The Owls had a chance to upset the number 6 team in the nation. Princeton got the scoring started early in this one, jumping to a 2-0 advantage. Just 3 minutes in, Bridget Whitaker on her first free position shot of the afternoon beats the keeper to get the Owls started. Jen Rozowicz was a big piece of the offense. She tallied 3 times in the game for the Owls. To the second half we go now, and who says freshmen can't play? A highlight reel goal for Riley McGowan. She had 5 in the game as a freshman. Princeton puts the game on ice with 60 seconds left, and the Tigers escape the Owls. Final score 16-14. The Owls are 1-3 now in 2020.
Although the Owls had a rough week at Howarth Field, they've had a much better offense in their 4 games so far. One reason might be because of some new technology that they are using about 100 feet above the field.
We welcome in OwlSports Update's Jackson Neal, who's live at the Temple Sports Complex to tell us more. Hey, Jackson.
Thanks, guys. Instant replays and live feeds to the sideline are a staple in professional sports. But for the women's lacrosse team, they're bringing these 21st century technologies right here to the college level.
It's all about gaining a new perspective for the lacrosse team.
It made me way more aware because, like I said, I don't remember details by detail what I do, so it's nice to have this.
What was a test last year has become essential to every practice and game this season. SkyCoach connects cameras from the press box and drones to the iPads for players and coaches on the sideline.
From the overhead view, and they could just see kind of like a video game, every single moving piece on the field. It just gives them that angle that they can't get from straight on like a field level view.
The Temple women's lacrosse team has always used the latest technology, but this season they're taking things to new heights.
Started way back with like just adding GoPros and trying to get footage from like the goal camera, and being able to do that was really helpful. But things like the drone, that is now allowing us to really see the full field play, which is one of the things that's really hard to do in our sport.
This eye-in-the-sky viewpoint helps the Owls with their spacing, especially on their transitions from defense to offense.
If I were to want to see like the exact last thing we had in practice, I can play it. It'll go through, you can slow-mo, you can speed it up, and you can stop, and you can draw on it. I think it's the best way to figure out what you're doing, because a lot of time when I come off the field before we had this and someone says, oh, you did this, this, and this, like I don't remember a lot of the stuff that I did detail by detail, so it's nice to have this and I can actually slow-mo see exactly what I did.
All of this tech has already led to results. Just through 4 games, the Owls have scored 49 goals, outpacing their start to last season by 18. Reporting from the Temple Sports Complex, I'm Jackson Neal, OwlSports Update.
Thank you so much, Jackson. Really cool stuff there. The Owls took on the Yukon Huskies Friday, beating them 4-0 for their 3rd straight win. The team won the top 2 double flights and singles 1, 3, and 4, bringing the team's overall record to 3-3 on the season. The Owls will face off in their next match against Fairleigh Dickinson University.
And keeping on the court, this season's men's tennis team is filled to the brim with global talent. With 7 members hailing from outside the U.S., while the program is accustomed to bringing on international athletes, the recruiting process is far from simple. OwlSports Update's Luke Milai has the story.
The men's tennis team has a wide array of international flavor, with players coming from France to Brazil to Colombia. If you add it up, this team has combined to travel more than 27,000 miles from their homes around the globe. With this comes a large amount of trust that is required between the foreign players and the Temple coaches.
I actually never visited a university, so it was kind of weird, but yeah, I trusted the coaches and I just decided to come.
For some guys, finding the best tennis program is their main goal, but for others, they want to make sure they can get aces on and off the court.
I hire an agent to contact universities for me, to contact tennis coaches, and I did my admissions exams, the SAT and the TOEFL, and then with my grades and a tennis video, I was able to find this university.
From a coach's perspective, it's not as easy as just looking at a player's stats. Head coach Steve Morrow has help in knowing how well these players are able to balance academics with athletics.
It's easy for me to find out their level of play based upon their tournaments, but I really need to find out like their personality, if they're nice guys, if they have good hearts, and so forth. So
the Owls' international talent will be on display on February 22nd versus Wagner. Just a few miles away at Legacy Tennis Center, I'm Luke Milai, OwlSports Update.
It's time for us to take our second time out of the day, but we have a weekend recap from the hottest team on campus when we come back.
Plus, JJ's Join My Parliament from our first show can be put to rest. Sorry, bud. But for now, we have another topic surrounding the Temple football team, of course. Since we know where Temple is playing in 2020, how does that impact the plans for an on-campus stadium? We'll tell you the latest when we come back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Fencing came out of its meet at Duke undefeated with a statement win over number 3 ranked Notre Dame, winning 14-13. Epi was undefeated on the day, going a perfect 9-0 versus UNC. Individual performances from Zoe Turner and Malia He propelled the Saberists to win against 4 of the 5 teams that Temple faced.
Temple Gymnastics traveled to Ohio to take on Bowling Green and Illinois State in a tri-meet. Even with Temple posting its second highest score of the season in 3 events, the Owls fell to Bowling Green by 1 point and Illinois State by less. The team will travel to the Philadelphia Convention Center on Friday to participate in the annual Pink Meet.
And the American Athletic Conference released its full football schedule on Tuesday afternoon. The Owls will have their work cut out for them. First off, a trip to Miami on September 5th. Let's not forget that Manny Diaz and Quincy Roche are now both a part of that U. The Owls open up at home on September 12th to take on Idaho. Other home opponents for Temple in 2020 include Rutgers, USF, SMU, ECU, and Cincinnati. Let's get some early predictions going here. Adam, I say the Owls sit at 5-7.
JJ, I think it's way too early to pick, but if I had to guess, I would say probably around 7-5, maybe 6 wins. I think the Owls will be bowl eligible yet again, but again, it's way too early to really tell where the team will be headed for the next season. So we don't know where the what record will end up with the Temple Owls, but we do know that they will have a place to call home.
Joining us on desk is OwlSports Update's Ray Dunn with more. Hey, Ray.
Thanks, guys. For the last 5 years, it's been a hot-button debate as to where Temple football will and really should play its home games. An organization that calls itself the Stadium Stompers has been vocal opponents of building an on-campus stadium, while community planning experts remain skeptical of its feasibility. I caught up with both to discuss Temple's future football home.
The Owls are staying put at their home away from home. Earlier this month, Temple football and the Philadelphia Eagles announced a 5-year contract with another 5-year option that allows the Owls to play at Lincoln Financial Field, their home since 2003. The deal seemingly puts a hold on plans to build an on-campus stadium. The most talked about proposal had it at the corner of Broad and Norris.
With the Owls nesting in South Philadelphia for the foreseeable future, opposition to the on-campus stadium can claim victory, for now.
If we had not, pushed back, we feel the stadium would have already been here. People would have been displaced, and so much more would happen to the community and the neighborhood.
From an ecological sustainability perspective, it's not the best
use, right? You've got all this impervious coverage where rainwater doesn't go back into the ground as well, and tall buildings create wind tunnels and shadows.
Even with this new deal, it doesn't mean the on-campus debate is over. Less than 2 weeks ago, during an alumni event on campus, Athletic Director Pat Kraft said he's still pushing for an on-campus stadium.
5 years, even if it extends to 10 years. A lot of things can happen in between, and things can change. But I would like to see something sealed that says there will never be a stadium in the community.
Regardless of whether you are for or against, it will be at least another 5 years of Temple students commuting to football games.
We did reach out to Temple administrators in the athletic department and at the university level for comment, but both offices declined an interview. Reporting from the news desk, I'm Ray Dunn, and we will come back with a new edition of Join My Parliament when OwlSports Update is right back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. We have a new week, so that means we have a new talking point, and it's time for Join My Parliament.
And don't forget to engage with Twitter on OwlSports Update, where we'll post this Parliament, and we want to tweet with you and get you in on the conversation. So, JJ, it's your turn. Let's hear it. What is your Parliament this week?
Well, Temple football has its stadium, but there's a bit of confusion coming up. Season ticket holders received an email last week explaining that Temple players are switching sidelines for the 2020 season. This means that Temple is moving from the east sideline to the west sideline, which is closer to the Wells Fargo Center. All of that means that season ticket holders wishing to remain on the Temple home sideline will have to call the box office and request new seats, completely flipping sides of the stadium. On top of that, there's no guarantee they will get their matching seats because there might be current season ticket holders in those locations. One of the main reasons Temple is switching their sidelines is thanks to a new locker room on that west side close to the Wells Fargo Center. In short, Temple's switching sides. The question is, will fans want to follow? And if they do, will they get their same seats? So I say this, Adam, changing sidelines and building a new locker room is an intrusion on the tradition and fan experience of Temple football, and the chaos this has caused is not worth it.
JJ, I get what you're saying. Obviously, we know from my package, you have family that has season tickets and you've been coming for a long time. But one thing I want to point out with this is, guys, everybody that has season tickets will still have season tickets. There's still a Temple football team. There is a new contract. Lincoln Financial Field will be the home for at least the next 5 years. And part of that, they're getting a new locker room. They're getting some, nice ownership and some nice love from the Lincoln Financial Field as a part of this agreement. Plus, not to mention, you also have, the factors of, you have the shade now. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Lincoln Financial Field, but the Eagles play on the sideline and Temple will now play on for a reason. It's because there's the shade. Temple will hopefully not have any close dehydration cases or anything like that. I think that's a huge boost just for the health of the Temple athletes. So I say, you know what? If you can't get your exact seat, kind of tough, but you're still going to watch your team. You're still going to come out and support, and there will still be Temple football in 2020 and moving forward. I'd say for now, I wouldn't join your Parliament, but I get the concern, and especially people that have been here for, 10, 15 years. There's some diehard Temple fans.
And the link opened in 2003. Temple's played there since it opened, and with the way things have been going down recently, the band's now going to have to switch sides of the field. It's a whole operation here, so lots of headaches involved, but Temple will hopefully pull it off September 15th, I believe, the home opener for them against Idaho.
Yeah, and that's definitely a game worth watching. We want to get you in on the conversation. Thank you for joining us on OwlSports Update. He's JJ Mahowski. I'm Adam Cronali. Have a good day, everybody.